run a blog called Sustainability Struggles. I have a YouTube channel and I have an Instagram page where I share about
Okay.
my journey. Sorry, yeah, my I where I share, yeah, where I share my journey with sustainability. I'm working here as a robotics engineer in a solar company. And so yeah, that's about me. Unfortunately, I don't have a friend like Luca and Stefania to introduce me or give me a fun introduction. But yeah, that's that.
Next, I would like to ask Ms. Riya Safra and followed by Mansi Shah.
Okay, I'll just go ahead. Hi, I'm Ria. I have my own Instagram page that is called Dare Not Dump. You can follow me if you want. And other than that, I'm an upcoming Teach for India fellow. So this is all.
Okay, so anyways, I guess we have uh, enough participants on both. So without wasting much time, I guess we shall start with the proceedings of our virtual international roundtable conference. Is everyone okay with that if I start? Okay, so first of all, my heartfelt greetings to all of you who has become a part of this initiation of ours and who is with us on board today. Thank you so much. And with this, I would like to introduce, with due respect, I would like to introduce to you all with the president of our society and the head of department of the Environmental and Energy Department, Dr. Amit Dheer. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, thanks Ananya. Thank you so much. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all to this international, first of its kind, international roundtable conference. So where we will be discussing about the various aspects of environment. Now, before I just take a few minutes before we start. So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Suprit Bhuller, so who has joined us from DOSA office, and he has taken time to probably join us as a guest of honor in this program. So thank you a lot, sir. So then I would also, yeah, thank you, sir. So then I would like to appreciate, the core committee as well as the organizing committee of Paryavaran Welfare Society, especially, Ananya, who has worked very hard, during this tough times. She has created, thought of an event, and she has made it a success. Now, as far as Paryavaran Welfare Society goes, it's one of the registered society under the act, and it has been doing a lot of work in the area of environment, apart from doing such creative events. So like we have taken up point, look up how to get our campus on zero waste management. So then we have also thought of many other events to be organized apart from the regular events which we are keeping every year. Like we always go for plantations. So last year also we have planted more than 500 trees on Guru Nanak Jayanti. So likewise, there are many activities. So I want to list many activities. So as Ananya said, I'm also heading School of Energy and Environment. So we have the courses like MTech Environment as well as MTech Energy in our school. So we have specialized courses in collaboration with the School of Energy, Confederation of Indian Industry. So all these courses, they are being run after graduation, after BTech levels. So even you can go through our website where you can get more information about our programs, that is MTech programs. One is in environment science and technology, another one is in energy technology and management. So School of Energy and Environment is very active in the areas of research as far as environment and energy is concerned. Now, in this lockdown, we know that there has been increasing concern about what is going to happen. And there is one popular notion that COVID-19 pandemic has been good for the environment, but as far as we go through this event, we will today discuss about what are the various problems which are associated with the environment. So how this notion goes about. So I would like to kickstart the discussion with that, because why it is said that it is good for the environment, COVID-19, because we think that the air quality has improved, the water quality has improved. So if you simply look at the carbon emissions, they have reduced by 17% as compared to the last year emissions. But this is not going to last long, because once the lockdown is over, we have already seen that in many metropolitan cities, even the air quality is again getting worse. So it has come down, but again it is reaching to that severe levels which are there. So similarly, the carbon emissions, they are likely to increase, because this is not the permanent solution. This is only the temporary solution which is there. And temporarily these emissions, they have come down, but as far as we will see that in the times to come, again the emissions, they are likely to increase. So in this Envirothon, where we have the agenda of virtual international roundtable conference, so I welcome you all the participants to this conference. And here the basic idea is we have to look for, first of all, we need to identify what are the various problems related to environment in the current perspectives, and what is the solution. And the solution always lies with discussion, but we always need to find out a solution which is viable, which is addressable, and which can be addressed at individual level, state level, as well as at country level. So there have been certain issues which have been suggested in our brochure, which include your latest, we have the draft EIA notifications for 2020. Then there have been many laws which are coming up. Similarly, like biomedical waste is one of the issues in uh, the current prevailing situation of COVID-19. So similarly, you have other issues related to renewable energy. We know from 2020, in order to combat the problem of air pollution in vehicles fleet, so there has been BS6, which has been compliant from April 2020. So what are the implications to that? So what are the other solutions which can be there to address various issues of environment? So there, we need such forums in future also, and this is the first such initiative. So I'm really thankful to the organizing committee for taking such a good initiative in such tough times. So before we go ahead with the discussion part and I hand it over to Ananya, so I would like to request Professor Bhular to speak out few words before we. So thank you so much, sir. So I hand it over to you, Professor Bhular.
Thank you, Dr. Dheer, and thank you so much, Ananya, for inviting me. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to be a part of such an august company where the true cause of survival is being explored. And I totally agree with Dr. Dheer when he says that it all begins with the individual and extends to a state and then to a country. And that reminds me of the phrase that you think global and you act local. And I think by acting locally, doing our bit, I think that is the way forward. We need to be very mindful of what we create in terms of waste and in terms of pollution. And I think this particular opportunity of having a conference, or a roundtable conference, is the right platform for us to kind of brainstorm and come out with ideas that can help us improve our environment. I, on behalf of Harper Institute, welcome all the participants. It's indeed a pleasure to be a part of this entire process, where we learn how to improve things around us. Thank you so much, Dr. Dheer, and all the best, Ananya. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. So Ananya, now I wish that you take over the stage. So thanks a lot to you and the whole organization. So now I pass it on to you.
Thank
All
you
the best.
so much, sir. And before moving forward, I would like to give a quick introduction of all the organizations and everyone we have on every significant person who we have on. We have Central University, Ghana, uh, represented by CD Norbert, and secondly we have Ahmed Ben Abdallah University, Algeria. Next, we have University of Medicine and Pharmacy, Kirol Devalia, Romania. Next, we have Algebra University from Croatia. And from the institutes within India, we have Birla Institute of Technology and Science, India, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, in National Institute of Technology, Meghalaya, Delhi University, I'm so sorry, Delhi University, India. We have National Institute of Technology, Bhopal, Vellore Institute of Technology. We have Thapar Institute, of course, and then we have Jadavpur University. And moreover that, I would like to specifically mention, first of all, Divya Dhankar, who is our special mention, who is an environmental enthusiast. Next, we have Mansi Shah, who is an entrepreneur, and I would say a green entrepreneur, an environmental friendly entrepreneur. And next, we have Ria Sapra, who is again an enthusiast and from Delhi University. And with this, I would like to request Yogesh sir, who is from NIT Bhopal, to please shed some light on their club from NIT Bhopal. Over to you, sir.
Uh, Thank you, Ananya. Actually, I'm alumni of Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology. I'm 2018 pass out, and I have headed the club called PURGE. PURGE is an initiative by students of Maulana Azad Institute of Technology, Bhopal, which aims at reduction of polythene usage in the country. The idea was to connect various colleges in the country with the campaign in order to ensure that goal is met. We also aim at developing model which would suggest better recycling and reuse of plastic, and the team has started the work of reduction of polythene and better disposal in the college campus itself. We have divided our team into various subsystems so that all the aspects of saving environment from negative effects of polythene or plastic and waste are looked into. Also, PURGE aims to implement Swachh Bharat Abhiyan that started by Honorable Prime Minister of India. We look forward to adopt any measures possible to bring changes in current scenario. We have worked with various institutions like Bhopal Municipal Corporation, Madhya Pradesh Pollution Control Board, and various NGOs which are registered outside our college. So, with their collaborations, we have worked on Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and we have developed certain models. We have given suggestions for smart city programs also, and in that, the Bhopal came in at second rank on that year itself, when we organized an event and when we gave almost 10 ideas on sustainable waste management.
Thank you so much, sir. I just happened to realize that we have two more universities from Tunisia, which I previously forgot to mention. Just I would like here, okay, Higher Institute of Sport and Physical Education, Tunisia. And with this, I would like to end the introduction. I would like to commence with our agenda for today. So, anyone who would like to make an opening statement? Anyone on board?
Can I start it?
Sure, sir.
As your head of department mentioned about BS6 fuel, and I am recently working with a refinery that's called Bharat Oman Refineries. It's a subsidiary of Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, BPCL. It's in Madhya Pradesh itself. So the bigger companies, the bigger industries which are taking care of environment, what they are doing, I would like to highlight some things. Like in our company itself, for air pollution control measures, there are certain technologies we are using, like use of low NOx burners in furnaces. We are having sulfur recovery units, smokeless flare systems, and for dust control measures, also we are taking like electrostatic precipitators and dry fog suppressors. And for water pollution, also they are working on effluent treatment plants. They are having oil skimmers, oil catchers they are having, so that the plant is zero effluent so we are generating zero effluent from our plants. And the third thing we are doing is solid hazard waste management. It is with a agency called TSDF, which takes care of the hazardous waste. So the industries, I would like to make a point, the industries which are large enough, they are taking care of the norms and the rules and regulations of government, but the smaller industries, they are apart from the vigilance.
Definitely, sir. Because uh, anyone who would like to take over this, or shall I continue? Okay. No one. So yes, definitely, sir. Because of uh, less monetary funds and less monetary support, a lot of industries, they don't, get enough attention. And despite of doing some really good work, they don't get enough attention. And to this, I would like, okay, from this only, I would like to derive a point that I sometimes ponder upon the fact that uh, the world is spending so much to go and establish an empire in the outside world. I mean, we are working so much to, um, you know, have residentials on Mars and Moon, and we are going doing so much in that field. But what if we could
Moon.
invest? What if we could even a small part of this for the enhancement of environment and make Earth more livable instead of making uh, you know making an outside world more establishing.
Ananya, on your note, I would like to quote something which can lead us to a sustainable growth model. Like, we have many villages in India which are sustainable villages. They are model villages, like Piplantri in Rajasthan, and I would mention a special name of Bagwara of Madhya Pradesh, where I belong to. So I have a certain, like, I have a certain short note on that. Like, in a way, Mahatma Gandhi conceptualized smart villages, a champion of participatory democracy and grassroots level development. He believed that making villages self-contained and sustainable was the first steps toward empowering India. Contrary to that popular belief, he wasn't against industrialization or development, markets, and competitions, as long as they did not lead to active or passive exploitation of villagers. Yes, 7 decades have passed after independence. We are nowhere close to the realization what he thought and what his vision was. But rural remains still dependent on urban areas. And although India is rapidly urbanizing, but still 66.4% of population lives in rural areas, hence providing basic needs and livelihood opportunities for majority of paramount importance. Like, if I say an open defecation free ODF environment, 100% literacy rate, no caste discrimination, plantation, rainwater harvesting at every house of rural community. And it is not an imaginary or ideal village, but it's a village in Madhya Pradesh, in Narsinghpur district, Baguwar. Baguwar. It's about 250 kilometers from Bhopal, and they are they declared themselves ODF before our Prime Minister's vision in 2004 itself. They declared themselves as ODF, and every home there, they are having like they are having water harvesting system, they are having plantation drives every year, and they are self-sustained. And it is the only village in India which is not having a single panchayat election since independence. It's the only village in India, and they do not let civil administration cross the nation. I think some disturbance is there.
Whosoever is, please unmute yourself. Otherwise, you would be getting disconnected. Unmute yourself. I request Anshika and Anshika, please unmute yourself. Thank you. Mute yourself. I'm sorry.
So, Ananya, should I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the village who are is an ideal village, or you can say a self-sustained village, where the youth, they are having 100% literacy, and they don't go in urban areas to work, and they live in their village, and they do their work. So it's the need of time to make every village of India, which is the majority of India, a self-sustained village. Although there have been lots of funds have been released on the name of sustainable villages, but they are not like what you can say, they are not being properly dispersed or properly utilized. So the institutions like PERS and Paryavaran Society of yours and other NGOs in the India or abroad, they should take up the step to help the government or to question the government where the funds are being used and how they are being used, and we can suggest how they should use.
Therefore, on this, I would like to, on the similar note, I would like to say that there are a lot of like bigger names and bigger NGOs which are working on this. There must have been a department working on the same. Then I really don't understand. Like, we have right to information. We have so many rights which allow us to address to these. Then where are we actually lagging? It's not just about, okay, of course, our initiatives matter, but there are so many bigger organizations who are working on this before us and who have been like working for years, who are big names and established organizations. Then we really need to identify where the actual problem is. Anyone other than Yogesh sir who would like to take the initiative to carry forward the discussion? Anyone from anywhere?
Yeah, I'd like to add some. Sorry. Hi, Ananya. I'd like to add something to that. So I think the discussion that we are having is more towards like political side. We need to explore the political aspects of problem at hand, because politics and environmental conservation go hand in hand, and the two cannot be separated at any given stage. The reason why we have had such a lag in the vision or in the development of the vision of Mahatma Gandhi, as Yogesh was mentioning, is because of the fact that there has not been great policy making and implementation of those policies in India, which is something that we can only, we can dive into it, or we can even just look at it from the surface, because otherwise it's going to become a political debate. But my belief is that there needs to be more there needs to be more education amongst voters. The way voters vote right now are for the political figure. They do not take into consideration their policies or what they intend to, the reforms that they want to bring about, which is a huge problem. Because ultimately everybody, like, I'm just going to give this as an example, and I don't want anybody labeling me as anti BJP or whatever, but um, for example, everybody in 2014 voted for BJP only because they saw Narendra Modi. he was the brand, and he was the man of the moment. But people start focusing on their local leaders. For example, if you have Delhi assembly elections, for example, and in your constituency the person from BJP who is actually being elected may not be as competent as Narendra Modi or any of the higher ups in BJP, but they are the ones who are responsible or who are going to be given the opportunity to actually bring about reforms at the local level. So that is something, there needs to be electoral education amongst the youth at least, and then of course amongst the illiterate and in the rural areas as well, but that's only a dream. We've been struggling with this for quite some time, and it's not just here. I think it's the case worldwide. Most people, like even in the US, you can see that the Republicans won because of Trump and his image. People wanted to vote for that guy, right? So it is very important for us as youth to understand the power of our vote, and also to understand that we need to view the member that we are voting for as an individual, and not as part of a political party. Because most people, they just say, okay, I voted for BJP. They don't even know the name of the MLA that they voted for, which is not how it is supposed to be. So that is something we need to start reforming, because when you are voting for somebody, you know that that person, that specific person is responsible. And because right now every time you hear that, oh, this is going wrong with our country or with our world, you just say, oh, you know there's a problem because this party is not doing anything. So you blame the entire party or the government as a whole. You don't have somebody who can be held accountable for their actions or their inaction, actually. So it is very important to know who is to be held accountable for those things. That's just my point of view. I'm sure somebody else would like to add on to that.
Well, for this, I would say that one thing which hold people back is, you know, pre-established names and the competition, the level of competition. Even if they come up, they have to risk a lot, but the probability of, or maybe to win over the election, or the risk is high actually. So if we, exactly as you have already mentioned, if we have awareness amongst people, if we have uh, all these factors, if we have education, enough education, if we have a sane uh, uh, voters, if you have sane voters who could actually differentiate between who actually is working and what is actually a brand name, then of course more people can come up and more people can take initiatives. But what I believe, what hold people back to come up and to win is a competition, already existing competition. Anyone else who would like to take over? Guys, please participate. This is for all of us.
Hey, Ananya, can I add something?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Hey, okay. So, like Divya said, okay, like for example, she spoke about BJP. So, I just want to share a very live example, okay. So, when like I was new into this, okay, I was like studying, doing research, but business and this like this venture very different. So, there were people who would tell us, why don't you come with us and help us do this. And so I don't want to name the party, but like it's a famous name. I live in Mumbai. So there are like people you vote for, okay? Like there are areas in which the BMC of the municipality works. So basically, if you have a big name, if your label is big, okay, and if you have the power, and even if you're just not planting one tree, okay, but everyone is going to vote for you, okay? I don't know why, but they still are known outside to the world that okay, these people are doing so much and they're helping so much, they're making the city green and clean. But actually, the rural areas, like when you go to the rural areas, they don't need people like us. They don't need political parties or urban organization. They themselves are living a very waste-free life. It's us and our products in the urbanization which have gone there can ruin the rural areas. So, like when you talk about political, affiliations, I've seen a lot of political parties, taking credit for doing nothing. Like they plant like 400 trees on the highways, okay, but there's no one to look after them. They're just planted for like pictures and photographs and then done. Like the plants die, who's going to look after them? And there are small NGOs and people on personal levels, trying to grow trees. Literally, I know people personally who have grown like, life-size trees in the city, and they have nothing, on their thing. So I think every time you think about a political party, like youngsters have, like, we need to check, okay, we need to have a check, like, okay, how much is this person doing? Like statistically, go and check the background, okay, how much is this person done? How much is this? And then go and vote. Okay, now we're all adults, we are all going to be voting and we're just like putting our fingers, the selfie of voting. But you have to realize that who you voted for. Okay, is that person going to destroy the environment you're living in? No matter how big the name is. So I think we have to be very aware and we have to make sure that we check on these people. And then, like, share the word.
Thank you so much, Mansi. And with this, I would like to request that I think the discussion is getting very much political. So could we have like more views from different backgrounds, like some architect who would like to present his point of view, or maybe some people who are facing some other problem or anything like that, some other point of view, anyone who would like to put forward?
Hi, Rania.
Ananya, am I audible?
Yeah, hi. Hello. Hi, Arundam.
Yeah, Arindam, do you want to
Yes. I
sure, go ahead.
wanted to touch upon a non-political point of view. A point that you made in the very beginning was that we should, divert some of the money that is gone to space exploration towards initiatives which care for the environment and so on and so forth. So I would like to, I would like to point out that these two things are totally different from one another, because space exploration, the concept of space exploration is because we want
Arindam,
it
Arindam,
yes sir.
Arindam, this is Supreet Uller. Can I interrupt you? I'm really sorry for interrupting you. I would request all the participants to remain non-political. Any of your comments, personal comments that you may have, please make sure that this particular conference is to discuss one very important topic, and that is the environment. And I believe that we should stick to that. I would request all the participants to not make any statements that are political in nature. I think this would be for the benefit of all. Sorry, Arindam, for having interrupted you. I really apologize.
No problem, sir. No problem. So, as I was saying, that the main aim of space exploration is to become a multi-species, multi-planetary species, so that we don't get extinct like the dinosaurs did. So, I think for the for the money that we need for environmental initiatives should come maybe from the environment, maybe from the entertainment industry, or maybe from the sports industry, where money is abundant and which is I'm sorry to say, but which is not really in the benefit of the human race as a whole.
That seems to be a valid point. Anyone who would like to take over this? Chirag, you
Yeah, Arindam, I totally agree with you. So as Arindam had mentioned, I mean, this is the only planet where we can go out without spacesuits and we can just breathe the natural air. And I think Earth is awesome. So why are we investing so much time and energy trying to colonize other planets where we already have a perfectly sustainable one that we can live on? And
No, that's what I
secondly,
say
I
now.
think
Like
this, yeah, exactly.
I was saying, like, I'm taking the example of the dinosaurs. Like, very often we often news articles point out towards the proximity of how close a comet came to Earth, and that's because if a comet strikes our Earth, we have nowhere to go to, and the human race will become extinct. That's why I'm nothing wrong against the fact that Earth is beautiful and Earth is very it's very sustainable and very, we should work towards it. But also we cannot uh, ignore the external factors which can uh, take away this home from us.
First of all, I
Yeah.
would like to request the participants to not interrupt each other and let others finish first and then put their points forward. Everyone will be given a chance. And secondly, I would like to ask Chirag, to please continue.
Yeah, thank you. So just moving away from space exploration for a while, I find that often when we talk about environment and conservation and what can we do for the environment, perhaps the easiest and most common route of action that we take is plantation drives or planting trees. That it's a narrative which I find exceedingly common today, that we need to plant more trees and that's the solution to global warming and we need a greener world. And uh, is it clearer now, my voice, Mansi? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, but the problem with trees, right, I feel personally, is that they're not all that efficient carbon sinks. An oak tree would take about 20 years to mature, and it would take it 20 years to suck up the amount of carbons that a small hatchback would emit in a year. And really, right now, the level of global warming and the level of carbon emissions that we have, for us to revert back to a non-industrial level of atmospheric carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, we would need to plant about a trillion trees, which forget just the economic aspect of that. We just don't have the geography to plant a trillion additional trees. And really, the only feasible solution to global warming, and it's a solution which we need to implement within the next 20 years, I feel, is a complete shift from traditional fossil fuels towards cleaner, greener sources of energy. And that is where I think technology and science has to step in, and we cannot just rely on trees to get us out of the mess that we've dug ourselves in.
Exactly. Even I believe that we need to switch to more sustainable sources of energy, maybe some renewable sources of energy. And on this, I would like to, first of all, I would like to ask our international guests if anyone would like to put forward their views on anything, any kind of views. Anyone from our international
Ananya,
board?
sorry to interrupt. Uh, can I speak?
Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
Like you are speaking about the sustainable sources of energy, and if you would remember, in United Nations Secretary General Climate Action Summit, India pledged that they would increase non-fossil fuels to 175 gigawatt by 2022 and 450 gigawatt by 2030. And if you would say, as a technical person, if you would ask me, I think it's an unfeasible promise made to the world. But still, government of India is working upon those things, like Asia's largest solar power plant. I'm not remembering how much capacity it is having, how much gigawatt it's having. It's being installed in Riva in Madhya Pradesh itself, and certain many subsidies and are being provided to the people who are going for solar energies. But as a society, how are we accepting those initiatives? Because I know, like, everyone is having geysers at their home, and how many people are having solar geyser at their home? I would just ask. So people, and I don't think it would have cost much more at the class we belong to. Like spending 12 to 20,000, I think it cost around 20,000. Uh, it's feasible to accept that change. It's not that much costly or anything. So as a society and as an educated society, what we are doing.
Divya wants to say something. Divya.
Thanks, Ananya. So I just want to quickly point out the fact that the transition to renewable energy is, of course, it is going to be a costly affair, and that maybe people are not willing to accept it with open arms in India, maybe right now. But from what I have seen here in the Middle East, and from the initiatives that governments here are taking, it is very, very important and vital for the government to include schemes like net metering, and basically sell solar power to different households or to different factories or industries, just like they sell electricity. So there should be no differentiation between solar electricity and electricity. We can have net metering schemes that can enable that transition, and it also has a lot to do with the kind of regulations and sanctions that we have with the solar systems that are installed in India. Because most of the solar plants that are installed, there is absolutely no quality checks. There is no regulatory government body that checks the quality of the solar plant that is being installed, especially for small scale industries, or even when it comes to a small rooftop solar plant for your home if you want. So there needs to be some guidelines and some regulations, and there needs to be a body, an agency that checks and makes those checks. Because here in Dubai, there is a regulatory body that does all of those inspections before handing the certificate and allowing you to connect to the grid. You will not be allowed to connect to the grid until and unless you pass all of the checkpoints that are given by DIVA, which is the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. So it is very, very important that we have something very similar set up in India as well, that enables people to actually transition, because people don't care where their energy is coming from. They don't care. That's just how unfortunately society is. All they care about is the end product. There are very few people in the world who actually go out of their way to question, okay, where is this product that I'm using is coming from. They really don't care. The people are lazy, unfortunately. They don't want to take the initiative. They don't care, because accessibility in today's world is absolutely everything. So that is something that we cannot just pin on people. It needs to be taken care of by the government and by agencies who are being elected or being put into positions of power to guide our society into the right way. So it is very important that such regulations and such agencies are set up in India, and basically an infrastructure is set up that allows for the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy on a more wide range scale.
Adding on to the point, sorry, I'll take this. Adding on to the adding on to the point, I completely believe what people are saying, that we should be shifting to the renewable energy source and all of it. But then, as Chirag mentioned, that technology and science should step in for this. But as they step in, economic side of the story also steps in, which Yogesh sir clearly mentioned, that yes, it is of more cost, right? I'm very sad to say that yes, even I do not have a solar panel, solar geyser at my home. It is not about 20 or 10,000 bucks. I can afford 10,000 bucks more. It is more about awareness. It is more about that why should I spend more if anything is not happening to me with this cost. People are very lazy, as you said, which is very correct. It is all about awareness. People should know that it is for a long term cause. Right now you are spending less money, but eventually later on, when you're not left with resources and you'll have to go for natural resources, extraction of those will take enough cost which you're saving right now. So I think it is more of the economic side which people are seeing on right now, rather than on the environmental side. And that is why government should step in, and where government should make policies, and agencies should keep a check if industries are using renewable energy sources or not. This is what my take is. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your views, Anuj. Next, I would like to ask Luca. I've got to know that he has a point, but he's too shy to put it forward. So, Luca, I have got to know that you have a point, but you are too shy to put it forward.
No, I'm not. I'm not too shy. I'm just listening to you. Um, no, you can. I will. I will say something at the end. I want to hear some more things around you because you are focusing a little bit out of my zone that I cannot really
We
know
would
that much
really
about.
appreciate that if you could put forth your views, your point of views, with respect to your country or maybe with respect to your field of maybe your domain in which you are studying or anything like that. What do you feel about this?
You have observed maybe,
Yeah.
and you have been a
Well,
part of.
I don't think that my college for say has many interest in environmental stuff and me for example I'm just doing it on my own individual level in terms of like recently I bought like vegan shoes that are made from mostly organic materials and how I go on my daily lives, but I'm not really in any big organizations, and I think in Croatia there is not much talk around it, and it's not even in the main five topics. So it's not something we are really taking care of. So
Never mind. Thank you so much, Luca. Well, to this, I would like to add that this is really appreciable. Like, I mean, this is the least we can do, that we can at least go vegetarian or vegan. If we can't do more for the environment, at least we can do that much. And to this, I would like to give the take to Divya, who wants to add something. Over to you, Divya.
Yeah. Sorry, Ananya, I don't mean to hog all of the conference and just with my point of views. But I just to continue from where we left off before, I don't recall the name of the person who was speaking about this last. But talking about the commercial aspect of shifting to renewable energy, I would just like to mention that if the government steps in and if there are concrete policies and regulations that are introduced, and if a proper infrastructure is set up, that would also include private funding agencies, that would help us in transitioning. So there are a lot of privately owned companies that would love to invest in this, and there is absolutely no need for an individual to invest in say more than 50,000 rupees at once to install a solar plant on their rooftop on the rooftop of their house, because they can get into a PPA agreement, which is like a power purchase agreement. So some company, if there are licensed companies that are being monitored and whose quality is being checked regularly, are able to set up in India, then those companies can bear the cost for you, and they can come and install the solar power system on your roof, and they can sell you the energy or the electricity, and you just have to pay for it just like you pay your electricity bill. The only difference would be that you would be actually consuming solar electricity instead of electricity from a coal power plant. So that's the difference there. So that is something. There are basically my whole point is that there are a lot of instruments available, especially from what I have observed here in Dubai and in the Middle East. And of course this is not just located just to this part of of the world, but it is actually the case all over the world wherever solar is being used actively and is being used quite widely. That is the case there, and these instruments are being used everywhere. So it's just a matter of the government taking the initiative to actually set up this kind of infrastructure in terms of taking care of economics and in terms of creating regulations for the industry and for the transition. That's it.
Everyone is talking about sustainable source of energy, but here I would like to make a point. When there used to be horses for transportation as a transportation medium in a country, it became the dung of horses became a source of pollution. So people shifted from horse cart to you can petrol engines, and it was cleaner fuel for them at that time. And today we are thinking fossil fuels are creating pollution, so we are shifting towards solar energy or wind energy or any sustainable source of energy. But here also I'll make a point that solar panels which are being used, after a certain period of time they'll get exhausted and they'll be generating a lot of waste. So what plan do we have, or what plan do scientists have made to dispose them off? And another thing is of I this is a research study which I am quoting here, that wind energy, which is like for that we are putting up windmills. They create a lot of vibrations on the land space where they are put in, and they make the land space barren. You cannot uh, plant trees, or no farming. You won't be able to do farming, or you cannot grow anything there. Like vibrations, you might have read during the COVID pandemic, when the whole world was under lockdown, 50% of the human vibrations came down. So it was a good point of view, in the sense scientists were able to recognize what actual earth vibrations are. So my point is here, like we are going towards sustainable energy, which is today it is on today's scenario it is sustainable, but will it be sustainable source of energy for tomorrow?
So, can I respond to that, Ananya, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, that's actually an excellent point that you've brought up. And of course, my only response to that would be, um, nobody knows what the situation will be 25 years down the line. We can predict it. Scientists can model outcomes of based on whatever parameters that are available to us right now. But I see that definitely recycling of solar modules or disposal of solar modules will be an issue. That is for sure. But it is not impossible. There are recycling facilities. There is a company that is set up already in Germany that does recycle solar modules. And the thing is, scientists always have a solution for everything. It's just a matter of, you know, we always have the technology available. It's just a matter of us getting the funding to it and for us to bring it up to scale. So if there's only one company in Germany that's going to recycle solar modules, of course nobody's going to recycle them, and it's going to stay in our landfills and cause a problem. But if if there are governments that actually wake up to the issue, and if there is actually a need, because right now solar is still new in most parts of the world. Solar modules, they degrade and they are not fit for use after 25 years. That's the lifetime of a solar module. So after 25 years, so maybe 10 years down the line, we'll actually start to see the scale of that problem. But as of now, the scale of the problem is so small that companies are not being set up across the globe to address that problem. If there's no problem to address, there will be no company to address it. That's one point. And of course, there are issues related with everything. So we also know that wave energy or tidal energy and all of these other things are also considered, sustainable sources of energy. But at the same time, there are interferences with the aquatic life, and there are issues like you mentioned about the vibrations with because of windmills, etc. There are some issues that of course they need to be taken care of. Solar has its own set of issues, but at the same time, the what I personally feel and what I think makes sense is the scale of the problem that they are posing. So for fossil fuels, the scale of that problem is way beyond what those vibrations would cause. Because one windmill will, of course, take up a lot of space, but it's not that we will not have any space left at all, right? So we can probably shift some of those, plantations or whatever. We will have to clear out forests or or make space for windmills if there is the need. There will be some portions of land that will have to be cleared out for that. I completely agree with that. That is not an ideal case scenario, but at the same time, it's the same thing that happens with fossil fuel plants as well. If you want to set up a coal mine, or if you want to set up a coal power plant, it's going to happen for that as well. But the outcome would have a carbon footprint which is much higher, as opposed to that of, say, a windmill. That is my answer to that. Yeah, I'll try to shut up.
Mansi wants to say something since so long.
Yeah,
Over to you.
so thank you. So since I'm Yogesh sir and Anuj were talking about, if Divya said that government and private companies can, do something together. So I think a good example was of the Sarovar Dam. Okay, like it supplies like electricity to 3 states. Okay, one dam. I think there the government has done a good job. Okay, even like Odisha, the government is doing a good job when it comes to like sustainable options. And like Yogesh sir said that, okay, like if I'm making a windmill and the area around the earth vibrations, yeah, we always have to consider the lesser of the two evils. Okay, so one good example I would like to give is of Bhutan. They completely survive, like the economy survives on wind energy. Okay, like they produce electricity out of wind turbines, but they've made sure to strike a balance, okay, between the environment and the renewable energy. Like you'll see, like the windmills are on the mountains and the higher area, but there's a strict rule in the country to make sure to give almost 60 to 70% of the land to environment. Obviously, Bhutan is like the population is lesser than our country, like India. But if we also start striking a balance that, okay, if I'm going to put a windmill here, so what else do I do to balance the two? So I think we can learn from, such an example of how they are doing the balancing act, and how like different governments are helping private companies to make these renewable
Sorry to interrupt.
source of energy.
I am really sorry to interrupt, but can we not like shift to the political side as because it will become controversial. We can't hold
So
that.
I'm not saying it's political. I'm just saying that we can learn from such countries. Like, if you have, like, when you don't know something, you learn from somebody. Like if you made a mistake, so how do you rectify it? You learn from other people. So I was just giving a live example of how you can balance nature and renewable like energy. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not pointing to any government here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your views. Anyone who would like to say something? Other than these familiar faces which have been speaking for so long, guys, please take initiative. Anyone? Anyone?
Yes, I would like to take the word.
Yeah.
Hi.
If it's possible. Hello. So yeah, I'm not really familiar, on point with your problems, but I can speak about the climate change and everything that happened since the pandemic in Romania. As far as you know, my country is not a really good one in Europe, so the pollution is really high. Like our capital is one of the most polluted cities in the whole Europe. But the things have changed since the pandemic because people had to stay in their houses, and now when you get outside and you just walk, it's really better. And a thing that really impressed me, it was that the dolphins came on the beaches, and the seaside is not really good, or the sea is not so wild in my country, but even though they came because the people weren't around, and it was kind of beautiful. And the other thing, it's something that the people I know there have in common. The city that we've met in, Zagazig, it looks so good since the pandemic, like a fairy tale, something like that. So it was good, and I think that the best solution for everyone and every country in this world is the self-consciousness. And if we recycle and reduce and reuse, the 3R, it will be better. We can change a lot because we are young and we don't know how far we are gonna get, but we can do little steps. And I think that this helps everywhere in the world. I've never been to India. I want to come, but I think that this is a good solution even there.
Thank you so much. First of all, you
You're
are
welcome.
welcome to India, and we would love to host you. And secondly, this is like I'm really happy to hear that, like to see, to get to know how beautifully your city has transformed. But what do you think? What, according to you, is the post-lockdown world? Because what I believe is that after coronavirus, people like after the lockdown ends, I don't know if coronavirus would ever end or not, but after the lockdown, people would switch more to private transport rather than using public transport, and that's how maybe there might be a shift to even more sources of pollution. So, what's your take on this? Do you
I I don't think that it's gonna change really bad, but I think that through education, if we educate people and show them what is good and why is good, like don't throw plastic on the street because you know you will kill the turtles, but why? Don't use the public transport, use a bicycle, because then people will be more aware and they will start to do this. Like, I guess this is the best solution so far.
Thank you so much for sharing your views.
You're welcome.
Anyone else who would like to share? Anyone?
Ananya, I'd just like to add that I feel after the whole coronavirus situation is whether it's still going on or even after it ends, I feel there would be a shift in how we're using plastic. As far as I can like see, or like according to my thought process, I feel like the use of plastics would definitely increase, because I, as a person, if I'm going out, I wouldn't want to use the same plates that the restaurant is offering, because I wouldn't be sure. And I don't think a lot of people are comfortable even with carrying their own reusables. Like that is just, and I think this is where something where we need the awareness and we need to be a little more proactive. But I think it will take a little time to change, but I'm not sure. But I do believe that the plastic consumption will go up.
Well, that seems to be a valid point. Anyone else who would like to put forth their views? Anyone? We have Balkis from Tunisia. Would you like to add something from Tunisia's point of view? Balkis?
Hi, Ananya. I'm Ujjwal Tiwari. I would like to add something to
Hi,
this.
Ujjwal. Over to you. Sure.
Okay. Am I audible and clear to everyone? If someone can just confirm that. I'm assuming I am.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. So I genuinely believe that with coronavirus and the pandemic and the lockdown that happened throughout the country and the worldwide, I think people somehow or somewhere did get a signal that we have done enough to Mother Nature, and with the news that dolphins are coming back to Italy, etc. Somewhere this entire education of nature needs to be taken care of, and we just cannot leave it to itself and continue polluting it. It's something I think which has reached through different generations, different levels of people. Hence, I believe that maybe now will be the best time for such activities to happen, for such programs to happen, and to reach even the grassroots level. Because on some level or the other, people have this idea that we have done enough and we need to just do something to better the situation. With the otherwise, this situation is just going to worsen, and like lives will be miserable. So I think if currently governments and people and like all the intellectuals, if they kind of invest something, I think the kind of proportional benefit that they're going to get is going to be much, much, much more than they could have ever imagined. Hence, I think now would be the best time to actually celebrate the cause and just spread more and more awareness. I think that would have more benefit.
To add to this, I would just say that yes, definitely this coronavirus pandemic and all this lockdown and everything has been an eye opener. It has made us realize to what extent can we transform our world if by just taking small initiatives, by just locking ourselves into our place just for like 4 months, 5 months, and we can completely change the world. That was From my part, anyone who would like to take the initiatives, guys, please.
Ananya, can I add something?
Well, sir.
Uh, Everyone is talking about sustainability. I think we belong to a country who has its grassroots from Mother Nature itself. We always do puja or pray the Mother Nature itself. Now it's time for us to go back to our culture, our traditions. Like we used to worship trees, we used to worship our land, we used to worship our mountains, we used to worship our trees or and, even rivers. So it's again time. It's the time to go back to our roots and the culture that we should live according to nature, not nature should live according to us.
I completely support that, Yogesh. I think that's a very beautiful thought, and I feel the same way. And in fact, I've said that to a lot of my friends and family as well. But there's something that I have seen myself struggling with, and I'm sure everybody on this conference can probably agree with it. Somewhere or sometime they must have faced this issue. It's very easy for us to try to spread awareness amongst people who are actually receptive to that kind of information. So uh, I, through my blog, I'm only able to get through to people who are actually already eco conscious or are looking for that kind of an information. It is very difficult to reach out to people who are say into fashion blogging, or into something else, who are completely away from this kind of a lifestyle, or completely away from the problems that are happening in our world and in our environment. So that is something that I would actively like to discuss with probably everybody, and get their views on, like, how do we bridge the gap, and how do we start actually interacting with people who are not actually looking for this information. What is it that we can do to transform more people into pro environment people, and basically make them understand the magnitude of the problem. And I'm sure either Ria or Mansi would be able to, you know, um, give some really valuable inputs on it, because they're running a business, and they would have a lot of things to say about it.
I would like to add to that.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that a lot of educated people are not very concerned about environment and all is because of the uh, wrongful glorifications and wrongful glamorizations by the media. Like we don't really see environmentalists being glorified as much as footballers are or as much as actors are. And I think that people in the media can bring about a change in this particular matter.
Definitely, Arindam. Yes. Next, I would like to request. Sorry, it's a bit abrupt, but next I would like to request Anshika from IIT Kharagpur to shed some light on sanitary waste. It's something unique. So I would like.
Uh,
Yeah, over to you.
am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is something not exactly related to whatever we have been discussed till now, but the sanitary waste, which I personally feel is indeed a huge amount of waste that we generate every year. So, and especially talking about the sanitary napkins. So every girl menstruates, and we definitely need sanitary pads every month. So we should firstly realize that the amount of waste that we are generating per month. Thereafter, look for the alternatives. For example, I switched to menstrual cup few months ago. I was not at all aware of it. I read it on some blog or something like that, and then I switched to it, and then I suggested my roommates, and then they are now interested. So what I feel is that we should, as learned individuals, uh, make others aware of these alternatives, and there are certain taboos related to that. So also removing those taboos are part of our duty. And then of course make people aware, make them to switch to comparatively more sustainable alternatives, and then change the world.
Thank you so much for sharing your enlightening views. To this, I would like to add something that I'm working with an organization which was a student chapter in Actors Thaper, and there we are working on a project which employs people who employs women to make sanitary, biodegradable sanitary pads, and uh, that is an initiative. So on our very small scale, we are working on it, and I really wish we could make it like a real like a bigger initiative. With this, I would like to ask Divya to continue with. She had some questions, right, Divya? I'm sorry. Uh,
It's
for
all right. That's okay. I just wanted to, probably, uh, take this conversation or this conference into a direction where we can actually start to discuss how do we move forward from where we are at. Because I see a lot of people who are actually eco-aware and who are eco-conscious, and they are wanting to make the switch. And like, I'm pretty sure every other person on this planet knows that, okay, plastic straws are harmful because they're killing turtles. Like, thankfully that was one campaign that was publicized well, and a lot of people got to know that fact. But there are so many other aspects of ecological damage that are still not being explained to people. For example, I'm sure a lot of us, even though I'm guilty of it, would not be aware of the carbon footprint of streaming, using online entertainment services like Netflix or YouTube, or just being on your phone. There's a carbon footprint to literally everything that we do. So there are a lot of issues that still need to be highlighted. And my only concern and the roadblock that I personally see, being an activist, so-called activist, but through my blog, what I see is, trying to reach out to people, reaching out to people and converting them into eco warriors who are not actually looking for this kind of information. Because when I started out, let me tell you, I was completely unaware of the problem. And I was just like every other a teenager who on the planet, who just wanted to get the new things and just followed the entertainment industry, and wasn't conscious of any of this at all. So like, once I started to consume that kind of information, I got exposed to the facts and I changed my habits. But that first step, how do we make sure that people take that first step and they actually start to consume information about ecological damage, is something that I would like to discuss with everybody.
But I have one question for you guys. I saw that you mentioned the environmental industry and stuff a few times. How would you change that? How would you regulate that?
anyone?
Sorry,
I think
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question completely, Rupa. Can you please repeat?
how would you you mentioned a lot like environmental industry that they're very bad for the environment and all that, people who follow them and stuff. How would you interrupt that? In what way? Do you see any solution in that sense? Because for me, for looking at it from my perspective, it looks very difficult because there is so much money. There is like so many people have so much money at stake in all that.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah, I think that is an issue that every country in the world is facing, and lobbyists are always at play, whether you're aware of it or not. But they're always, trying to lobby for their product or for their industry to make more money. And that is something that needs to be taken care of. Again, I will go back to saying the government, because ultimately all of the regulations or how our society functions is dictated or dictated by the government in some ways. So like having educated people and people who are aware of certain industries. For example, if we are talking about the transition to renewable energy in any country, we need to have people who are renewable energy experts in regulatory bodies who are able to come up with frameworks that actually help, instead of having people who have absolutely no knowledge about the technology or the problems that come with it. And similarly for any other problem, like if you have a fashion say a fashion house, and you need to control their effluence that they are generating, etc. So you need to have people who are probably from the textile industry, or people who understand, okay, what are the kind of issues, environmentalists who are trained and who are actually aware of all the shortcomings, and who can basically assess everything from A to Z. So I think having educated people in the core of the government, and having educated people and trained people in specific domains in the government would be one way to make sure that environmental damage is limited. That's just my opinion.
For the previous thing, which Divya Di said, I think that digital marketing is a solution for that, to reach the public which is not going for eco-friendly things, and we can show them through digital marketing, and if they probably like those things, start liking those things, and they will move to buy these products.
Can I please add something to this? Okay, so I just want to say we all right now, like all, I think 30 people here are very privileged. I really want to use the word privilege, because we can talk to each other in different countries and talk about being sustainable and, going eco-friendly. But when you talk about educated people, there's somewhere where we have the privilege of all this. We can read about how to be sustainable, we can read about other things. But when you go down on the ground level, people are they are not aware. Like even if you talk about like Anshika said, the menstrual cups. So okay, we know, we read it on Instagram, Facebook, or some social media platform, and we are aware. But what about the people who don't use this, and like our world has a lot of people around, so we are just a few. So if you really want to, bridge the gap between helping, others, what we need to do is get down, like talk to people one to one. Okay, right now it's the COVID situation, but when we didn't have this, how many of us have actually gone down, to the ground level and spoken to people? Okay, I want to talk to school children, I want to talk to the girls in my building. So I think when we talk about social media marketing also, Tarun, we should also consider people who don't have this. How will you, okay, so like the people using social media are handful. But what if you're going to make a change, then you have to start thinking about other, like people from other backgrounds and other, uh, like how do I explain? I think you guys got my point.
Yes, I got your point.
Yeah, just adding to what. Yeah, Tarun, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Yes,
I have an answer for this, but
for one part, digital marketing can help, and the other part, the people who are not using these types of platforms, we can like educate them from giving talks in the government schools. I think that would help. Yes.
Definitely.
I
Thank you
think
so
we
much.
college
can I
students can
Uh,
are the best people to give take these initiatives and form groups and go to these institutions. Yes.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tarun, for sharing your enlightening views. Over to you, Luca.
yeah, I want to say I study digital marketing and I know a lot about digital marketing, and I know for sure maybe it's helpful, yes, but I know for sure that digital marketing didn't start because of the environment. It started because you are spending your money more efficiently than you were before with uh, they don't really care about that much. And I wanted to answer in terms of we need to go to the ground level, to the people who are not that educated and stuff. I agree with all that, but I think the problem with that is that those people are more like focused on their daily problems, more focused on how they will earn money, how they will feed their children, some like basic issues that they don't even have time to think about environment because they are like surviving basically.
Yeah.
So they don't have, yeah, as you said, they don't have the privilege to even have a time to think about that, and to, because they have bigger problems in their own like individual lives.
Yeah. I think that's an excellent point, Luca. And that is something like Mansi also mentioned very nicely. And
Just,
that,
I'm
of
sorry
course,
to interrupt. I'm really sorry to interrupt. Guys, we
okay.
will be winding up this session by 9:15. IST 9:15. That is 18 minutes from now. Thank you so much. Carry on.
Yeah, so as I was saying, thanks Luca and Mansi for mentioning the word privilege here, because it's very it's very easy for people to think, oh, privileged are only billionaires and millionaires and people who have a bunch of money with them. But there are some privileges that we have, even coming from, say, middle class families, as such. And we need to understand that there are a lot of people that will be left out of the umbrella of a social media campaign or digital marketing. And again, I keep bringing this up, and I don't mean to be political in any way, but I truly believe that the way to reform anything, to bring about any drastic reforms in the way a society functions, lies with how the government forms its policies, and how the government envisions their future or their country's future to be. Because if a country decides, okay, and this is not just true for just India, this is, mind you, for every country in the world. There are countries that have already achieved 100% transition to renewable energy, like Chile is making great progress. And then there's also in the US also, there's a great deal of work that's happening. Of course, there are other problems, environmental problems with US, but there are a lot of countries in the world that are making great progress. So it's very important to have people who are elected by us, who have this kind of a mindset, and who actually want to bring about this reform and understand the climate emergency. Because if we have people who are climate deniers as elected members of some of our governing bodies, there is no way that, irrespective of whether I and you and everybody else in this conference, or 100,000 other people, they decide to curb something and make some small changes in their life, unless there is drastic action that is taken in time, there is no way that we will be able to avoid the climate emergency. Because scientists have already warned us that we have less than 10 years, or actually 12 years, to curb this emergency and keep the global temperatures from rising above 1.5 degrees Celsius. Because once we cross that, there is going to be irreversible ecological damage to our world. And that is very alarming, and that is the reason why a lot of countries have already uh, announced climate emergency. So we need the support of the government, and we need to become a political activists in some ways, and engage with the government in whatever ways we can, to make sure that people really understand the level of the problem. It's way beyond what most of us are even probably aware of. So
Just to add to that, like I think I completely agree with what Divya says, that the government has to be an active member itself. But many governments, like even for example, Indian government, when just Narendra Modi comes up and says that global warming is just a myth, and this is same for Trump in US and Putin in Russia, right? Now I think we are living in an era in which the leaders of these countries are actually more like global leaders, right? That is to say that presidents and prime ministers of all the reputed countries are basically like the global leaders, and once they say that global warming is but a myth, this is something which does not seem which seems very valid for all the people who are like under bhakts, as we say, or like pure supporters of these political leaders. Hence I think the most important work of all people who are concerned about nature and environment should be to also call out these leaders whenever they say something which is abrupt, stupid, and harmful in this way, right? So I think like there should be a sort of media body in this respect which just goes in and calls it out, and necessarily you need to call it out also on a legal platform, just like filing a case or something, that you cannot spread such sort of information which can cause further damages. I think only then can such changes be carried out.
So, hi, I also would like to add to Divya's point. So, I'm based here in a village in Himachal, and I think government has taken multiple, multiple things. They have come out with solar lights. They are giving free solar lights to village people. So, even in our village, there is a lottery system where every year around 50 people would get free solar lights in the village, and I think they are doing it on panchayat level. So there are multiple things that government could do. For example, if you talk about just composting, there's a huge problem of cow dung and you know um, this farming harvesting harvest things that we get here in villages, and it's very hard to manage those things. So, at panchayat level, government could initiate a lot of things where they could make a composting facility in the village itself. They could create a community composting facility. And then we have machines like happy seeders, because if you see, we need manure for um, our fields, for uh,
I think there's some technical difficulty with Bhumika.
Yeah, I guess so. Uh, Anyone else who would like to share something? Because uh, Allah from Tunisia, would you like to share something? Allah, can you hear me? Okay, never mind. Anyone else who would like to say something?
Hey guys, Shubham here.
Hi, Shubham.
Am I
Hi.
audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. According to me, the discussion that we had today was mostly that what the government can do, what the government should be doing. But I think we should be start taking an initiative on our behalf, like educating our parents and those who are uneducated, living nearby to us. Like many of the people here, I live in a small village town in Himachal. So the most of the problem here is most of the waste that we generate here is organic, and most of the thing that we use in our fields are pesticides, which are inorganic in a matter, which are harmful for the environment also. So I think we should. Use the non-conventional methods, like we should combine the organic waste and such things which could be used in a manner like this. I think we should personally take an initiative rather than focusing on what the government should be doing and uh, uh, doing for us. I think we should be educating the people on this. That's my take on this. Thank you.
Exactly. I would agree with this because I think it all starts from home. It's all start from us. That's why I said, like, at least we can go vegan, at least we can go vegetarian, at least we can do a little, whatever we can for environment. And Ananya Mahajan, would you like to say something? Ananya Mahajan. Uh,
Hello, am I audible?
yeah, Ananya.
Yes.
Um, I would just like to say that I agree with the point that has been taken up, that we need to take our own initiatives, and everything, whatever change we want to bring starts at home. And that's all.
Thank you, Ananya, for sharing your views.
Yeah,
And
just a
Ujjwal
second.
wanted-
Like, I would just like to add, like, I'm not completely against his idea, but I don't think that just sticking to what your job is and doing the best you can on a very low level is going to help. Because I don't think anyone here is celebrity. Like, we do have some members, like Divya, who has a vlog, and someone else who runs some other enterprise. But to be honest, I didn't know Divya outside this entire Zoom call, right? So necessarily none of us here are celebrities, and no one has got any cult of personality or any social mic. Hence, I believe that just doing on a very low level is not going to help. Of course, you should do the best you can as a person, as one single individual, but you also need to go ahead and cross question people who may be like your professors, who are just dumping waste, talking, giving you lectures about how to make the world a better place, but dumping waste on the streets or something like that, right? I think once we understand the fact that this world is ours and we have to control it, and even if we have to like go ahead and raise voice against people who are in authority, who are in power, like maybe our parents, maybe our grandparents whom we respect and love a lot. I think we should not, or even politicians or your professors or people whom you don't know, but they are a little maybe senior to you. I think we should do that, and that is much more important than just staying in your home, staying vegan, and not using plastic, etc. Because if you want a bigger change, you have to be more vocal. I think that's what I agree with.
I sorry,
Ananya,
Ananya, I
your
think
mic is off.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just said I don't want to contradict Ujjwal's point or anything like that. Neither do I want to brag about stuff. But I think small, we never get to know how small steps turn into. Like for this conference, I just started. I asked a person for a one-to-one talk show, and from there, when I got multiple responses for people for various talk shows, I thought of this idea. So this is just an example. That's how it started, like from one step, and now we all are here for a conference. So I believe that small steps do make a difference. If all of us would take small initiatives on all our level, if I would plant two tree,
क्या ये
sorry,
उसमें आपने क्या डाला था?
I would request Anuj to mute himself, please. Anuj, and over to you, Divya. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's no denying that small action and grassroots level action is powerful, and one step by a million people amounts to something. That's for sure. But at the same time, like I mentioned before, to me, the only issue is the fact that we are at a point in time
So
where the
get that card.
sorry, Ujjwal, you want to say something?
Sorry, I didn't know my mic was on. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so I was saying we are at a point in time where maybe the ecological damage that has happened to our world is far greater than what we are trying to achieve with those small steps. That is my only concern, and that is what I feel. But that does not mean that, just because I feel my actions are too small, I will stop caring about whether I'm using plastic, or if I'm composting my waste or not, and I'm not doing everything in my capacity or in my power to make sure that I don't, add to the problem. But at the same time, I think it is time for us to, come together and come together as a human race and basically mobilize and create political action that makes sure that we are able to bring about reforms. And we need a complete 180 from what we are at right now, right? We are headed towards the end of the world literally, and we need to change everything. So like I don't know if I'm watching too many documentaries or if I am being paranoid or an alarmist, but that is just how I personally feel, that there is the need of the hour is to actually start converting your small actions into political actions, and then bring about bigger changes in our world.
With this, I would like any one of you who would like to conclude, because we
Hi,
are.
Rania.
Yeah.
I would like to conclude. Like, we talked about a lot of things, and it was a very fruitful discussion. And I am happy that I was a part of it. And in the end, we have talked about a lot of things, a lot of problems. But ultimately, as Ananya Mahajan also mentioned, that the ultimate responsibility rests in our own hands, and we must be the change, and we should start by ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arindam, for sharing your enlightening views. And anyone else who would like to add to this conclusion? Anyone who would like to conclude?
Yes, Tarun?
Tarun, could you please turn your mic on and just ask us?
Yes. I wanted to ask something that I am a BTech student from second year studying electronics, and I want to ask that I want to enter this field of sustainability, and so I find some people, good people in this conference. So I want to ask that how can I come into this? I'm studying BTech electronics.
Uh, Tarun, I am really very sorry to interrupt, but I guess if anyone would get to answer this question, we would exceed our time limit, and I guess a lot of we have to wrap it up here.
Can I just quickly
Ananya,
add? Sorry, Tarun. You can reach out to me. I can post my details on the group. You can discuss this with me.
Okay.
Anybody else from the conference can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will try to counsel whoever I can, and try to help you out in whatever way I can. Yeah.
So with
Thank
this,
you so much.
I would like to request you all to just be a part of a small act I would like to do. And with this, I would like to request whosoever who can't turn on their cameras, please do that. Okay. And next, I would like you all to bring your hands close to your heart and repeat after me. I pledge. Turn on your mics, everyone.
Yeah.
I pledge
I pledge
that I will do whatever I can
I do
I
whatever
will do
I
whatever I
to
can
make a difference,
To make
to make a difference,
to make this environment more sustainable.
to make this
can.
environment
This
more
environment more
sustainable.
Sustainable.
Perfect. Thank you. And with this, on this note, I would like to end this conference, and thank you so very much. Thanks a lot, guys, for sparing us such a precious time and being a part of this amazing discussion and enlightening us with your amazing views. It was really, it was an honor to have you all. On behalf of Paryavaran Welfare Society, and thank you so much. With this, I would like, I am ending this conference, and thank you.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
job.
Great job.
Thank you, Ananya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ananya. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Nanya, and bye all the participants. Thank you all. for joining the conference.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.